Hi, this is Dion Bickham with CBR, and I'm here with the legendary Dan Jurgens, and we're here to discuss a new project he has right at Comic-Con San Diego 2022. How are you today, sir?
I'm great. How about you?
Oh man, I'm wonderful. I'm sitting here with you.
No, right.
So what is this new project that you're working on for DC now?
So remarkably enough, this is actually the 30th anniversary of the death of Superman, which came out in November of 1992. And what we decided to do was create a special project that is going to get all four of the original creative teams back together to kind of commemorate what was such a huge event in all of comics and beyond comics, really. So we've created a very special product that has as I said, the four original creative teams together. Brett Breeding and I are doing a story. Jerry Ordway and Tom Grummett, who were on Adventures of Superman back then, they're doing a story. Louise Simonson and John Bogdanoff are doing their story. They were on Man of Steel. And we also have Roger Stern and Butch Geist, who were on Action Comics at the time. They're doing a story. And it all revolves around the idea of the death of Superman, and it just happens to be the anniversary of that having happened in Metropolis for the purposes of our current story. But I think it's going to be a very fun project with a lot of other contributors coming in to do covers and pinups.
Oh wow, okay. So what characters can we expect to see in this?
Well, obviously we're going to start with Clark, Lois, and Superman. But beyond that, in the main story, what kind of drives it is we have young John Kent, who is in school one day. And that's, like for all of us, we find out all the stuff we should and sometimes shouldn't know in school. And he finds out that his father died at the hands of Doomsday and then came back to life. Which, if you're a 9-year-old kid, that's going to kind of freak you out, right? So that's the main impetus for the story. That's what pulls us in. And that's what gets Lois to start to explain to him just what happened. While at the same time, we also have a mysterious new threat in Metropolis that is somewhat Doomsday-like. So John gets to see his father having to deal with that in the moment, as well as he finds out what happened back in the day. So it's a little bit of a meta look even at how did the world react to Superman. Because we have a character from the story who's there wearing this black armband. And he said half the world was wearing these things, just like we really had happening back then.
So are we going to have another chance to get black armbands this time around?
We might have another chance to see black armbands again. And if they did exist, they might just have a special commemorative 30th anniversary logo on them if they existed.
Okay. Well, one of the main things that I remember about Death of Superman was the four new Supermen, including the Eradicator and Cyborg Superman. Are we going to see any of those guys this time around?
That's a yes and a no answer to that one, and it only works this way because this is really about the death. We do touch on John Henry Irons, who became Steel, and in a wonderful story by Louise Simonson and John Bogdanoff, because we get to see John Henry Irons before he becomes Steel, and we get to see him experiencing the death of Superman from his perspective, which we didn't get to see at the time. So it sets up what comes the following year.
Okay. Will there be any new characters introduced in this, or will this mostly be focused on existing characters?
We do have a new character being introduced in this. Nick, can I interrupt you? Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
Doombreaker?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
yeah,
so
we're announcing it. Yep.
Okay, very good. Let me start clean here. Yes, we do have new characters coming in this, and one that's really kind of special, and it's the new threat for Superman by the name of Doombreaker, who is a bit of a relationship to Doomsday of sorts, and you'll have to read the story to find out just how he came to be, but he's someone else who can give Superman a good, strong run for his money. And to have John there and witness it and see a little bit more of what his father is all about and how he's there not just to beat the bad guys, but protect the world at the same time.
Oh, well, this sounds great. When can we expect to see this?
This is coming out in mid-November, just to totally coincide with what happened 30 years ago, which was the death of Superman. And as I said, at that time, it was something that pulled the whole world in, and we are definitely addressing those themes in the book. So I think it'll be a lot of fun for people. And what I'm saying is, if you were there then and remember what it was like, you'll get to experience some of that all over again and kind of get the warm fuzzies just based on, wow, I remember what this was, right? If you didn't experience it, it's still going to be a fun, rollicking time and a good, strong set of Superman stories.
One of my fondest memories from the Death of Superman was that issue where every single page was a splash page. It was such a sense of excitement. Do we have anything like that coming up in this time around?
So one of the special things we did back then is we had a format for telling the story that started it at 4 panels a page, went to 3 panels a page, then 2, then 1, the all splash pages. And so we said, let's do that again. And we're going to have to condense that because we don't have 4 issues. So we do have a 41-page story that does the same thing, which it makes you feel the pace of the story picking up faster. And it starts at 4 panels, then 3 panels, then 2 panels a page. Then finally we go to 1 panel a page that ends up in a nice double-page spread again. We also have a very special cover that I drew and Brett Breeding inked, which is a 3-page fold-out cover that I think really captures the essence of what the Death of Superman was all about back in those days and what this story is all about. And it's great to be working with Brett again. This is our first DC work we've done together in quite some time, and it's coming together very, very nicely.
How excited are you about this?
I'm having so much fun. It's funny because just a couple of days ago, it's weird because when you first start working, you're sort of competing with yourself in a way, right? If you're doing a project that refers to something you did a long time ago, especially one that was that famous, you end up competing with yourself a little bit. And then, so the first, 5 to 10 pages, we're a little bit trying to figure it out. But by page 15, and this is where I referenced a few days ago, Brett and I were talking and I just said, I am having so much fun. This is reignited memories that I had thought I had lost long ago for what those days were like. It's fun to be working on it again. I'm constantly drawing the Daily Planet building as it existed back then, which I haven't done in forever. And Brett said the same thing. It's just like we are, and we didn't anticipate this coming. We are sort of reliving our experiences from those days and the memories as we do all of this.
Yeah. For me, as well as a lot of fans, the Death of Superman is something that's just permanently embedded in our minds. Did you have any idea that the work that you did was going to have such an impression on fans?
No, I mean, I couldn't ever have imagined what that would become. When we planned out the story, we were just trying to tell a really good, strong Superman story. We wanted to address the idea of Superman's importance to the world, both in terms of characters in the DC universe as well as the world as a whole. And by taking him out of the story, by having him die, that's how you do that. We find out just how important Superman would be to us. We had no idea it could blow up. We could not foresee that it would get translated into whether it be prose or a radio play or animation or live action movies. We never saw that coming. We never could have known that 30 years later, we're still signing these books as people come up to us. And this happens to me at every con I do. Someone comes up to me and says, this is what got me into comics. My dad picked this up for me on the way home from work, or my grandmother did, or my dad took me to the store, or my mom did that day to buy this. I even got to skip school. And that started them on a lifetime of reading comics. So we never could have foreseen any of that. And it's really a lot of fun and very special to be able to get back and get in touch with those memories now by doing these stories, and for the original creative teams to get back together and do this again, and to be able to revisit these characters and also those themes from those days.
How do you think that this new story is going to affect the ongoing legacy of Superman?
My answer to that, Dion, is somewhat the same as it was earlier. I can't tell the future, so I don't know how it'll necessarily work. I do know this, and I think that having read the stories everybody else has done, that it is a very nice companion piece to what existed with the Death of Superman. Jerry Ordway has written a lovely story about how Ma and Pa Kent were reacting in those moments. And they pull out a photo album and they start going through it. And through their eyes, we get to see Clark's life and how important that was as they thought they had lost their son. Roger Stern is doing a story with the Guardian, who was a protector in Metropolis at that time, who tries to administer first aid to Superman. So we're getting into these moments we didn't necessarily see then, and I think it ends up, as I said, being a wonderful companion piece to those times. And again, so much of it is because the people who did the stories at that time were there and available and excited to come back and do it again.
Okay, well, I just have one last question for you. What is a particular moment coming up in this story that you're doing now that you just cannot wait for fans to see?
Oh, wow. There are more than one. There are quite a few, but I think a lot of it is. So way back in the day when we did the original story, it was Booster Gold, who, as the Justice League first fought Doomsday, who gave Doomsday his name. You know, Doomsday knocks him like clear the kingdom come, and Booster is caught by Superman, and Booster looks at him and says, "Oh man, it's like Doomsday is here," and that's where the name came from. This time, this new villain, the name comes from John Kent, and I think that's particularly fitting because a 9-year-old kid is the perfect one to go name a new supervillain.
All right, thank you so much. This has been a pleasure. Again, this is Dion Bickham with CBR, speaking with Dan Jurgens at Comic-Con 2022, SDCC San Diego Comic-Con. Thank you so much for tuning in.